the distance was fine. So I was putting in, I can do a 50k swim quite comfortably, loads of food. And we were doing it in Derwent water as well, in Keswick, which is amazing. So we were doing open water. So I knew the distance was fine.
How long does a 50k swim take you? Well, with or without a log? From now on, I'm going to ask you every question you're going to say, with or without the log. Okay.
So, completely. I mean, depends. When you're in St. Lucia, for instance, if you get the tide with you, there's not a lot of current. You're looking at sometimes 1 to 2 knots. So not a lot, but sort of during a 50k, you might be swimming at 1 to 2 knots, if with or without a tree, so to give you an idea. So if you've got 2 knots coming straight down the barrel, you're not moving, basically. I discovered this, I think it was about 12 hours in.
A knot is how many kilometers per hour?
I should know that.
Is it roughly miles per hour is knots, right?
Roughly.
So it's about 1.6 or 1.7 kilometers per hour, maybe?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. So
that's still a lot of hours, 20-something plus hours?
Yeah. And that's if you've got everything in your
still
favor.
Water, it's still going to take you a full day.
Exactly, waves and
It's a lot of swimming.
Yeah, so I discovered 13 hours in, I remember that the captain shouts at me and he was just like, Ross, you've got to swim hard, you're in a really bad current. And I was like, okay, no worries. And I set my watch and I set it to about an hour to 2 hours, counting down. I remember in an hour or 2 hours, I could get close to 10K, out. So I was like, that will get me out of any current, no problem. So I just put my head down and I swam hard for 1 to 2 hours. And I remember afterwards, I popped my head up and I just looked at the captain and I said, how are we doing? We must be out of that current. And he couldn't look me in the eye. This was after, like I said, about 12 hours of swimming. We were about 30K in, couldn't look me in the eye. And then he just said, Ross, you've not moved. You've not moved. You've been in the same spot for the last 2 hours. And I was like, you're killing me. So then
how does your brain deal with that input?
Well, I mean, my language was quite colourful at this point. And I shouted at the captain and was like, what, you're kidding me? He's shouting back at me. And then I remember we were arguing for about 30 seconds and he just went, Ross. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, all the time we've been arguing, you've gone back 200 meters. And so I was like, so
you're arguing with him because you're like, are you sure? Or you're arguing because you're mad about the whole thing?
Just mad, and this is actually, again, so I'm looking for anything,
to grab onto.
Yeah, and I think, give me some good news. Tell me that I've moved. And I think this goes back to exactly what we were just talking about. So in that moment, I was looking for any way, I could have quite happily just gone, fine, I'm out, thrown my toys out the pram. And I think that right there was amazing because, again, it doesn't matter what your sport is, but it was almost like this metaphor for life that you can sit there and just start complaining, but you're going to move back or you can do something about it. And right there in that moment when he said I'd move back, 200 meters, I put my goggles down, I just went fine, and I just carried on swimming. Because that was the only option. You can't complain.